Okay, so we'll go ahead and uh, begin. Okay, so you just got reincarnated, and you're not quite sure what just happened. Everything was a blur. You felt less drunk while you were talking to the guy, but not completely out of it. Maybe like between woozy and drunk. You think? Regardless, you died. That sucks. Uh, but you met with this god, and he told you you're gonna get reincarnated into a world of magic and swords and fantasy. Weird, but all right. You got to pick some of these things called skills, your new appearance, and a new race. You weren't quite sure what you were doing, but you looked for something that could swim because you like swimming. Uh, the next thing you know, you're falling out of the sky. Uh, you didn't expect to end up falling out of the sky, but here you are. Uh, you're barely conscious while you do. The only thing you really register is the blue sky until you smash right into the ground. Doesn't hurt at all. You assume the god broke your fall, but you wake up just on the shore of what appears to be a big ass lake, like a really really big lake. You're at the point where the water is kind of just at around your feet, and you're kind of sitting in it, almost like sitting in a puddle. You open your eyes and you look around, and it's like a slightly wooded forest. There are mountains to both your far north and your far south. Looks like a basin almost, if you had to guess. Regardless, you're no idea what's going on. You kind of stand up, looking around, like up and down, left and right. You have no idea. You look at yourself. You look in the water, in fact, at your reflection, and you blue. You didn't expect to be a Smurf, but things happen, I guess. Your eyes black. You have these fins. You're like a fish person. You say to yourself. You're not sure where to go. You can either go deeper into the lake or explore the forest.
Hmm. Maroth is going to go a little bit deeper into the lake and very still very groggy from like what she can only seem to be like
Falling, literally falling out of the fucking sky.
falling out of the sky and a hangover.
A bit of so like two
She
two
takes
two two well fucks in one day.
and she scoops up some of the water. It's not very salty, right? Is this fresh water?
It's fresh water.
Just going to scoop up some of the fresh water and like splash it on her face to try and get herself to stop being so damn groggy from being hungover. Even though, that might not entirely help.
Yeah. You step deeper into the water of the lake and pick up some of the water. You take a sip just to be sure it's not salty, and it's not. You splash it on your face and feel the water running over it. You feel slightly better, almost like kind of like waking when you wake up in the morning and splash water on your face, but you also feel the water seeping into what you didn't realize before, your gills. You feel it going in and the air being filtered out as you take in a breath while you splash your face. With that in mind, you continue to step deeper into the ocean until the water is up into you. The water is up to your neck. You think that you can breathe underwater thanks to your gills, and dive your head underwater. It takes you a few seconds to breathe because as a race that used to not be able to breathe underwater, and someone who used to swim, you're very used to knowing how to not breathe when underwater, how to not take in air. This time you gotta do the exact opposite. You stay under there for a minute, holding your breath, trying to take in air, but your brain is telling you, no, you're just gonna take in water, and it's not gonna work. Eventually, you gain enough power over your own mind to open your mouth and take in, and you feel the water entering your gills, not your lungs, and exhaling with air coming in. It takes you a bit to get adjusted to it because, again, you're not used to, breathing underwater, and readjust to your surroundings. And you look around and realize that you can see perfectly in the water as well, although it is a tiny bit murky. For the most part, you can see around it. You can either go deeper into the lake or exit and look around some more.
Maroth is going to begin going, not necessarily deeper, but further into the lake, staying a little bit close to the surface, but like just in case, the off chance that, oh, maybe breathing underwater ain't so easy.
Mm-hmm.
But she's going to continue going forward, maybe 5, 6 feet underwater.
Mm-hmm. You start to sink slowly underwater, getting used to your fins, using them to help you maintain a specific level underwater. You don't want to go too deep in, out of not wanting to get trapped in a place where you can't see. This lake seems really deep, although it quickly dips down lower and lower as you come off the shore. Your head is maybe 2 meters underwater. Regardless, you are just kind of hovering there, getting used to it, still trying to, figure out what the hell's going on. You have an idea. You have an idea of the like what is happening, but also you don't. You begin to swim into the deeper into the lake, not lower, but further in, and fish start to swim around you. They're very large, and they're a lot of they come in a lot of very different colors: orange, gray, green, blue, and yellow. You're not sure in the yeah. They look similar to fish from your world, but you can't quite place it. Regardless, you keep going through. You keep going through. You identify maybe 3 different varieties of fish, but you can't be sure they're not all the same. You're not too focused on it anyways. You continue to swim deeper into the lake, and you deeper into the lake as you continue to explore your surroundings. You remember that in the center of the lake is a few smaller islands. You can either swim there or swim there. 'Cause right now you're maybe a third of the way into the lake. You either continue to swim forward onto the island or try to go into one of the deeper parts of the lake.
Continue what?
You can either,
Ah,
yeah, you're about a third into the lake. You can either continue to swim and attempt to reach the island you saw in the center of the lake, or you can swim into one of the deeper parts.
hmm. Maroth is going to more confidently feeling now, begin to swim deeper as she's going forward.
Mm-hmm. As you continue to swim into the lake, you feel a confidence. You always knew how to swim, but this feels, and you've gone scuba diving before, but not having to worry about the scuba gear on you and feeling completely free and light as you swim through the water with perfect control under the water, more control than you've had ever had before, fills you with this sort of confidence, and you continue to swim. You feel confident that even if there is something down here, you could probably escape it. Regardless, you continue to lower yourself deeper and deeper into the water. You feel it's slowly getting darker and darker, but you notice that as you enter the deeper parts of the lake, your vision slowly starts getting better and better. Either it's improving the water, or you're just able to see in the dark. Regardless, as even as you get deeper into the lake and the sun begins to become less and less of a light source, it is still it still feels like you're able to see just as well as you were above the surface. Now you kind of are just hovering there in this zone where there's little sunlight. Most of it's just your own vision. It's kind of just open waters. You can't see the ground of the lake yet, but you assume it's close by, probably just a few more meters down. And you kind of just sit there and wonder, like, is there anything? What is happening? You can either you can either head back up to the surface and look for anything around there, or continue to all the way to the bottom of the lake floor.
I want to go deeper. Go deeper.
Meredith, okay, you head all the way down to the bottom of the lake. You finally reach the level sands and your feet touch the ground. You feel weird standing on the bottom of the ocean floor, just kind of there. You look around your surroundings. You can see kind of far out. You begin to start walking along the ocean floor. It's sandy, but very packed. You feel your feet, your body, and you kind of just stand there. you're not really sure what to do, but you're and the world's it's all still a little bit too much for you. However, you feel at the very least calm, kind of just sitting here at the bottom of this literal massive lake. You continue to walk around
Hmm.
kind of aimlessly. Obviously, you don't know where you're going. Whatever it is, you can always swim back up to the top and find yourself again. You continue to walk until you hear a noise. It kind of sounds like a scream, but like not like a high-pitched human scream, like a roar almost.
Oh, what direction is it coming from?
You have no idea. Uh,
So it's kind of just reverberating
it's just
all around the
reverberating
water.
in the water. Yeah. You don't know what it is, but suddenly you remember that you're in the middle of a fucking lake. The thought didn't really hit you until now that you are, in fact, this is still the wild, and this is a world you have no idea what kind of creatures live in it. So you look around, just attempting to see what is coming, and eventually, as whatever this is starts to approach you, you start to isolate the sound better and better. It's clear that your ears are very sensitive and very good at picking up hearing. But as someone not used to it, it just feels like the sound is coming from everywhere. As you concentrate and continue to use your ears better, you can isolate the sound as coming from your right side and turn to face that direction. You can either choose to attempt to just run away or face whatever is coming at you from the deep.
I think something instinctual kind of snaps and Maroth begins swimming upwards.
Okay. You begin swimming upwards quickly, as fast as you can, and attempt to escape the beast. You swim up, and you hear the roars falling beneath you. As you reach roughly halfway up the lake, the roars go away. You assume that whatever this was couldn't swim, and it was likely grounded to the floor, grounded to the deep sea floor. Whatever that was, you don't want to go down and see what. Now you're hovering around the middle level of the lake, where it's the sun, both the sun and the darkness kind of envelop you. You can choose to swim around that level, so you have to go back to the ground and see what that was. You can go back down and face it if you really feel like it, or you can go up to the surface.
I think Maroth is going to slowly swim up, but more begins swimming towards one of the islands. Now, is this the upper or the lower islands that she is closer to?
Lower.
Lower. So she's gonna slowly swimming up, but more so swimming forward towards that island.
Mm-hmm. Still a bit shocked by what had just transpired. I think the fact that you don't even know what was trying to attack you, startling you even more. You slowly start to swim up to the surface and towards the island. As the island begins to come into view underwater with its underwater parts slowly appearing, you swim towards the island, and eventually appear pop your head out of the surface to see it. It's a simple island. Not much else there is to it. Just kind of some trees. It's heavily forested in the middle. The outside, some nice beaches with a bit of sand. You can choose to stand on the island and explore it a bit, just to stand on the shore, or kind of just hover in the ocean, not ocean, but lake next to it.
Hmm. I think she's gonna go onto the shore and try to scavenge some semblance of a weapon because I think she'd be starting to feel a little bit hungry with the sort of metabolism that the race she chose has.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know it's a fast metabolism. She just knows that she's hungover and hungry.
Fair. We step onto the island and just a bit on the shore and begin to look for a weapon. You're starting to feel hungry and you remember those many fish that you saw. They were rather large, and you think that a good amount of them would sate your hunger. You begin looking for something that you could use to make shift it to some sort of spear or something, really. You look around and you find some really good sturdy sticks to use, chopping off some branches that are straight enough to use. You're not quite sure how to make a spear, but you can damn well try. You look around the shore for some sharp rocks, and after maybe half an hour of searching, you manage to find a few. You just need a way to fasten it to the stick. You look around for some fibrous plants. However, you think you'll need to go deeper into the forest to find them.
Okay, let me just.
I say forest, but the island isn't that big.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Big boy. I already see that how
Okay.
you write things down is much different from how Red writes things down.
So, going deeper into the more woods, not forest.
Yeah. You start to enter the woods and look around. There's a bunch of tall trees, plants, fruit, berries, whatever. You look for some sort of plant that's fibrous enough to tie it all together. You dig up roots and other plants and inspect their stems for any fibers strong enough. And eventually you come across one that is strong enough to maintain it. You 1 second. Let me look for Yeah, you pull one out, and as well as pulling out, you pull out this plant as well as a bunch of roots. They look like potatoes, but weirdly shaped. Regardless, you kind of ignore what these potato-looking things for now, and take out the fibers of the plant and use it to tightly fasten the pointed rock to the piece of wood. It's really makeshift, and you kind of dug a grooving into the end of the stick and kind of just jammed the stone in there and then tied it all together with a stick. It would do not next to nothing against an actual enemy, but against fish you think it should be enough to at very least impair them enough where you can eat them. You have acquired the
Mm.
really, really shitty spear.
Yes.
Horribly made, but it'll do the job of killing basic fish. Which is funny because you definitely had skills to just probably just jump the fish by yourself, but I digress.
Because she hasn't thought of that.
Yeah,
She
she
hasn't
has
thought of that.
definitely
I
has
thought
not
about it
thought
and
of
like
that.
she wouldn't. Yeah, I'm like she could do it, but I don't think she'd think to do that.
She's definitely not. Okay, so now that you have the spear, you can either continue to explore. You can either continue to explore the forest a bit. I don't know, look for something, or go back into the water and attempt to hunt some fish.
Fishy. Go back to the water. Fishy.
Fishy. Uh huh.
Fishy.
You return to the water and dive in and look around for some fish. You swim around for a while, not that long, and you find a large group of them. They seem to travel in groups of maybe 30 around if you had to estimate, and they're kind of hovering just out of range of you as most fish tend to do. They're pretty large. Their fillets look big. You can either attempt to swim up to them and stab them, or throw the spear and likely lose it in the process.
And how deep is the water that she's in now that these fish are?
Maybe, maybe 4 feet below the surface. They swim close to the top.
And I think Maroth is going to try to lunge forward and stick one of them with the spear without fully throwing it and possibly losing it. She doesn't want to lose that legendary piece of shit.
Yeah. You feel yourself control the water, and you feel your fins, and try to and attempt to boost forward. in through the water, almost trying to push off of an imaginary wall. You achieve in sort of doing so, and charge toward the swarm at a large speed. As you get within maybe 2 feet of it, the swarm begins to disperse, and you strike out the spear in an attempt to hit the fish. You manage to graze one in the chest, stabbing it and pulling out blood, and the fish swims away, but it's slower than the rest of it. You might be able to catch up to it, or you can just go for another one.
I think in the process of lunging, Maroth sort of gets a whiff of that cloud of blood that's now forming in the water, sees the very small, the very, not very small, the very weak fish now trying to swim away, and she immediately begins booking it for that fish. Everything in her body says, get that fucker right now. Kill it, eat it.
Yeah, she so immediately, without even thinking, Marath begins to just charge towards the fish with the newfound speed she didn't know before. She quickly approaches, which she gains on the fish within mere seconds, and stabs the fish in the head. The fish immediately dies, as they do, and she grabs the fish and starts tearing into the meat. Within maybe a minute, the entire fillet is gone and only the corpse is left, and she drops into the water for the crabs and the other scavengers of the ocean floor. Feeling slightly more satiated, but not completely, Maroth, you can either go look for more fish or continue to explore.
Maroth is a little bit full, but now with a bit of a taste for blood, a taste for flesh,
You don't say.
is going to just completely drop the spear and look around for the closest small to medium-sized fish she can see.
You drop the spear, the shittily made spear, and let it sink to the bottom. How unfortunate. Uh, and look around for any more. The school of fish, this that is dispersed, is once again met, maybe 30 feet ahead of you, and you immediately charge towards it at quick speed. The obviously once again the school disperses, but you still manage to catch one in your hands. And immediately
Bite the head off.
you okay, you bite the
Bite
head
the
off.
head off to kill it.
You bite the head off the fish to kill it,
Yes.
and complete decapitated, spitting it out to fall to the ground, and begin devouring it again. Again, less than a minute, the entire fish is just a carcass, and you toss that away as well. Feeling close to full, you do the same. You repeat, rinse and repeat until you get another fish, eat it, and you're feeling full for now. Feels kind of weird to you because you're not used to being this hungry. And in fact, in the old world, if you ever ordered a fish dish, it would just be one fourth of a fillet of salmon, and that would be enough to satiate you. But now you just consumed three whole large fish, each were roughly the size of the salmon you're used to in your world, and only are now feeling full, and you've been here for maybe a few hours.
Excellent.
Okay. Uh,
Feeling, yeah, feeling full and feeling full and feeling that kind of frenzy sort of dissipate a little. Maroth kind of just lets herself float to the surface, kind of facing upwards
uh-huh.
until she's just lying on her back in the water. Like, what was that?
Mm-hmm. You with your bloodlust starting to run out, you begin to float to the surface and kind of just sit there staring into the sky. As you lay there with the effects coming off of you and the effect of your drunk of the alcohol finally completely disappearing, your head becomes clear since you arrived here. What the hell is going on? You start to remember getting drunk at some point, going to the pool, falling in there and drowning. You know you reincarnated. You know you met the god. You know you picked out some skills, some magic, and an appearance, and entered this world as a tiefling. You remember hearing stories about them in your old world about humans who made deals with demons and became demons, but you are unsure why you picked it yourself. Likely because they could swim and that was the only thing you cared about at the time. Now you kind of just look up into the sky, unsure of what to do next, seeing how hungry you get, and the fact that you're not sure if the people of this world would even like you. You kind of just sit there until you hear distant sounds across the lake. Catches your attention, and you look across to see a boat. It's a simple boat run by oars, and you see some people in there. You can tell that they're not particularly looking for anything. In fact, you see fishing rods. They're likely maybe a party of friends, party of family going out for a fishing trip. They're near the shore. Clearly, they don't want to go out too far, which is where you are currently. You can either choose to approach them or try to sneak underneath them or just avoid them altogether.
Maroth is gonna quickly dive deeper into the water again, making a bit of a splash. Not necessarily on purpose, just something that happens when you
Yeah.
suddenly dive deep into the water. And Maroth is aware of the whole if she's under the water enough, she's really hard to see, right?
Mm-hmm. Because their skin's blue, like a Smurf.
She is going to slowly approach very curiously and try to see what's going on the
Mm-hmm.
ship, the little
Yeah.
boat.
You dive under, making a little
Oh,
splash.
yeah.
You dive under, making a little splash. Not sure if the people saw it or not. Regardless, you head maybe 10 feet under and begin swimming towards them. You see them through the water. You can see them starting to pull out fishing rods and throw into the water. You throw them and throw them into the water, attempting to catch something. You watch as their sinkers sink to the sink. You watch as their sinkers sink maybe 4 feet below the same area where the fish you just caught were swimming. You begin to approach the boat from underneath, and begin to raise your head just below the boat, enough to where you can hear the conversation almost through the boat, using your because remember from before that your hearing is quite good. You're able to listen in on their conversation. Their words aren't of any real value to you. They're more or less them just discussing catching things and what happened that day. The conversation kind of
That
goes
day.
not things that happened that day. The conversation kind of goes like this.
Oh,
Yeah, conversation roughly follows this. I'm really happy we managed to get out to the lake today. We have been meaning to on this trip for a while. And an older, rougher man responds, "Yes, I'm sorry that I've been really caught up on work. I've been meaning to take you guys out for a trip, but I got a break this week, so we can enjoy this together." The younger kid responds, who you assume to maybe be their child, says thanks, Dad. I've always wanted to go fishing with you, confirming your and this confirms your assumption that they're a family. They're the only two people on board, and you see that roughly on a family trip. You try to gather more information from their conversation, but after maybe listening in for 20 minutes, you get bored because they're not talking about anything really outside their family. You can what you do next is up to
yeah.
you.
Maroth goes up. That's an awful thing to do. Maroth very carefully goes up to some one of the hooks. Probably one probably I think she goes up to the one that belongs to the father. And what kind of bait is being used?
Just simple worms.
Maroth very carefully uh takes she tries to very carefully take off the worm.
Why?
She is feeling a sort of mischievousness that is not familiar to her.
You swim up to the hook and then slowly but surely just take off the worm and just kind of
And
toss it into the water, I guess.
Maroth is then going to hook her finger on the non-pointy part of the hook
Uh-huh.
and then yanking it down so that like it's not gonna pierce her, but she is dragging the bobber down
Maroth,
quite
you
vigorously.
violently pull down on the hook, and the man immediately recoils, saying hear him say he thinks it's a really, really big one, and begins to reel in. Naturally, because your strength would likely be around the same as him, you're able to hold the hook into the water decently well and continue to pull down. The man seems to be struggling a lot, but eventually you lose your grip on the hook and he pulls in nothing, and he sounds very disappointed that he lost whatever that was. You're a fucking dick, you tell to yourself.
Okay, now Marath is gonna swim down and swim closer to the shore, which she presumes these people came from.
Jesus, you swim, having your asshole fun. You begin to swim towards the shore, and surface there, still looking at the family on the boat who now have their back turned to you. You can either continue to observe them, leave the lake, or go back in, or attempt to do something else.
Are there other people on the shore? Did
No,
did they come from okay.
they came from a trail, but there's no one on there
Ooh,
besides them.
okay. Uh, Maroth is going to swim back past the boat. Pardon me. Past the boat and begin going to the other island she was able to glance, the upper one.
Mm-hmm. You dive back into the water after exploring the trail for a bit, and head back into the water. You go deep enough where the family can't see you and begin to pass over them. You take one last look at the boat and the bobbers and the family, and note that they're human and continue to swim. You swim for a while and begin to approach the other island you noticed, and begin to surface on this island. You immediately notice that smoke is rising up from the island from a fire. It looks like it's controlled, not a forest fire. But you can either leave and you but you stop at the shore of the island. You can either choose to approach the fire or ignore it and continue swimming.
Can she see the fire or can she only
Just
see
the
the smoke
smoke.
in the distance?
The smoke is on the
Just the
island.
smoke.
The smoke is coming.
Maroth is oh,
Yeah, no, you're fine.
it's what?
You're fine. There's nothing.
Okay. Maroth is going to get out of the water and have a moment of realization for just how long and heavy her hair is. That it's all wet.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking annoying. But she's
Uh-huh.
gonna try and brush it off her face and begin going towards where the smoke is coming from.
You begrudgingly brush the hair off your face after covering it, and begin to walk on the island and slowly approach the fire. Right? You walk closer, you deeper into the woods of the island, and find a little outcropping. There's a campfire and a small party of humans. They're not armored. They don't appear to be any kind of warriors. In fact, they seem to be pretty normal people, the kinds you'd expect to find in your world, just with more medieval-looking clothing. They have tents set up, log chairs, and they seem to be enjoying themselves. It appears to be, you can clearly tell whatever it is, it's a kind of party. People are enjoying, laughing, talking. You can you can make out some words, but you're not close enough to really make out anything legible, intelligible. You sit there behind the tree, kind of watching for a bit. What do you do?
Hmm. Let me think. Maroth is going to. At what time of day is it based on the sun? Approximately when is it?
2 p.m.
Maroth is gonna make a note that there are people here who seemingly intend to stay here probably through the night, as far as she can tell, and she's going to run. She's going to turn around and begin running back into the woods, out of the cleared area and back to the beach.
Okay. Making a mental note.
Sleepy.
Shut up. Shut up,
Go on.
bitch. Uh, After making a mental note of the party having on this island, Mara, you head back to the shore and into the water. You dive back into the water and start to float just below the surface. You ponder where you should go now.
Hmm. Meredith kind of wants to wait out till the night and try to go back to the camp when it gets a little bit when it gets dark and when they hopefully have gone to sleep.
Mm-hmm. You what you basically just hover around the lake, roughly around after the afternoon. Eat another fish to satiate your hunger, and as the sun falls and you see the smoke of the campfire eventually being put out, and you think it's good to approach again. You surface and walk on the island and approach the tent party slowly. The tents have lanterns on, however, the people in there are asleep because you don't see any shadows or the light. Everyone's asleep and the fire's out, and some of their belongings are next to the tents. However, you assume that the more important ones are likely inside of the tents. It's clear this party isn't
Hmm.
expecting to be attacked by any animals or whatever. Likely because you assume that they're knowledgeable enough of this island to know that there's no dangerous animals on this island, which would explain why they're here in the first place.
Hmm. Are there any bags nearby?
A few, some around the campfire, some near the tents.
Um, are there any of them you are able to describe?
Near the campfire, there are just a bunch of leather sacks. You assume maybe there's food. You're not sure. Laying on one of the logs is a water skin, although you doubt you'll ever need that. Near the tents are some boxes. You likely near some boxes, and you assume because you're on a lake that whatever was here was likely brought. On the far side of the party are some bigger boxes which are all empty. You likely assume that that was used to pack all the stuff in. There aren't really anything here that you can see that looks necessarily valuable. You wouldn't imagine that anyone would have brought that here for a standard cookout party, but there are a few tied up sacks near the campfire and some boxes near the tents. Most of them opened and empty.
Hmm. So the ones near the campfire, and there's boxes, and so you said there's some bags near the tents as well.
Yes,
What were those like?
just standard leather sacks.
Um, Maroth is going to try to quietly take one of the sacks near the tent.
Hmm. Mara, you approach one of the we'll say four tents, and attempt to grab one of the pouches to open it. You pick one up.
Oh no, she's not opening it
Oh,
here.
okay.
She's not opening. It doesn't matter what's in it. She wants to take it, but
What?
she's not gonna see what's in it. She's not gonna linger here
Yeah.
to see what's in
You
it.
you take the sack, despite not knowing what's in it or not caring what's in it. You just feel like doing it. You pick it
She
up.
wants what's in it, but she doesn't want to linger here for too
Uh,
long to check.
she picks it up and you it picks up the sack and inspects it. It's just leather tied together with some string. But then you hear a voice behind you. Someone has woken up, not because of you, but they apparently need to go to the bathroom. You turn around and your pitch black eyes stare directly into theirs for a second, and within 2 seconds, as they're already screaming demon.
Mara clutches the bag to her chest, and God, I you know the scene in Ponyo where Ponyo is just running across the water, but like she has this very particular way she runs.
Yeah.
Maroth is just gonna begin running like that, like wide-eyed, go, 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 just keep going with the back of the bag clutched to her chest.
You just start running, booking it across the thing as all the campers wake up. They chase you, but at a distance, because it's clear they didn't really bring any weapons to them. They didn't expect to encounter a demon here. As you approach the shore and dive into the water, they stop chasing you. They don't seem too intent, because they don't think they can fight you. If anything, it looks like they kind of just wanted to scare you off. As you dive deeper into the water to avoid them, their gazes eventually, that you see that their faces eventually leave and head back to camp.
Maroth swims up to the surface, shaken up thoroughly, but this giant, goofy grin right on her face.
Uh huh.
And she opens the now soaked bag,
Yeah.
but she's opening it above the water to see if she can salvage whatever was in there.
Yeah. You pop your head above the water, looking like a fucking goofy aw bitch. Uh, and open the sack. Inside of the sack appears to be just a bunch of vegetables. That
Maroth looks at them and takes out a carrot.
what
Uh,
what looks to be a
pull.
carrot.
Well, yeah, what looks to be a carrot. Is holding it like with the tips of her finger, of her, like the tip of her thumb and her index finger, and she brings it to her mouth, tries to take a little bit of a nibble, tastes a little bit of the root juice on her tongue, and spits it out.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most vile thing ever, which is very ironic from someone who had a pretty normal, not picky diet.
You tempted to eat what looks like a carrot, and immediately spit it out. You hated every second of feeling that in your mouth. Kind of like I'm not gonna finish that sentence. Uh, yeah.
Honor! Honor!
What?
God. Go on, whatever.
You can assume what I was gonna say.
I don't need to assume, I just know. I know what kind of person you are.
Whatever do you mean? What kind of person am I?
You know. You,
I don't know, Burb. Tell me, what kind of person am I?
let's just continue.
Anyways, yeah. You spit out the carrot and instinctively throw it into the ocean. There are a few more of those things left in the bag, but you have no interest of trying to eat them. You just kind of throw the bag away. You're just like, just fucking it's disgusting spawns of Satan.
She's going to dump out the bag, but she's going to take the now empty bag,
And
just leaving the vegetables floating in the water.
just and leaves the bag. You begin to sink your head back into the water again when suddenly you feel a hand on your foot and immediately recoil. You get ready to attack whatever that was. You turn around and you become face to face with something that looks just like you. It seems to be older than you, and it gets startled by your reaction as well. I mean, you're both kind of just left there staring at each other for a hot second.
Maroth stares for a few seconds, then looks at the empty bag in her hand and kind of holds it away like this is mine.
Jesus Christ. You hold the bag of where they're gonna take them, and the thing speaks, but without opening its mouth. It says, "What are you doing at the surface? It's almost night. You should get back to the tribe." You don't know how it's speaking because clearly it's not opening its mouth. And it's hard. You don't even know if it's possible to speak underwater. You make an attempt. The only thing that comes out are bubbles. Uh, they say whatever. I don't know why you're here, but instigating the humans will never lead to anything good. You should come with me back to the tribe before it gets too late out and you can't see.
Maroth looks back up at the surface and then back at this gay-ass adult.
You just immediately headcanon they look gay as shit.
I'm not using gay to mean gay, I'm using gay to just like
Wow. Burb just describes everything as homosexual.
and considering the kind of scare, although it was a fun little rush, the scare she got from the humans was still a scare.
Uh-huh.
And she nods, kind of sinking
Mm-hmm.
lower down to this adult's level.
You nod your head in agreement, and the person looks at you and says, "All right, come with me." And then you begin swimming in a direction basically towards the center of the lake. As you start,
Hold on.
okay. What did you? Oh, okay. Thought you were gonna send me something goofy.
No, no.
I just look at your DMs. It's a picture of someone eating someone alive. It's just like Maroth's mind right now. Just nom 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 nom.
Yeah, 'cause I don't know how to say this.
Then say it.
I don't know how. I gotta type it. I gotta
I know
put it into.
that was the joke.
Oh. Okay, there we go. Hi, piss boy.
I think that how I did it is that why I make them speak more fluently with telepathy is because the way telepathy works is that they're not conveying words, they're conveying thoughts. Where
I see.
it's like
The
it's
thoughts are still the thoughts are still the same. It's
yeah.
just they're able to
Yeah,
interpret them
it's yeah,
into
exactly.
a more.
It's kind of
Oh,
like yeah, like if they tried to speak, it would be like you humans bad quickly return. But since they're thinking out, what they're thinking is their intention is they want to think, hey, it's getting dark out. We should return to the tribe, and because that's the exact emotion and intention they want to convey. That's what's being received. It's just as Maroth
I
as
see.
Maroth as someone who doesn't really understand what telepathy is, it just kind of comes off as words.
Mm, okay.
It's like how animals are able to communicate things without technically having a language.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Hi, Jed.
Hello there.
He just woke up.
Yes, I did.
I'm actually
We
waking
don't
up.
need to talk about that. Well, actually, I didn't just wake up. I woke up and then stayed in bed for a few hours and then woke up.
So you just woke up is what you're saying. What the fuck was that? What the fuck?
And with the power of Nitro, I can use it whenever I want.
We play it again?
Okay. I was very mad that
Holy
that
shit!
session.
Listen, I have my
Holy shit!
soundboard volume actually lowered, so it just sounded like someone was screaming in the background,
Yeah,
not a
no, same,
soundboard.
same. I
Oh yeah,
was,
no,
I was
I
like, is
was
someone
very angry.
screaming in the background? I was like, okay,
I need to connect a voice mod and start using my soundboard during these sessions. Anyway, let's continue.
okay.
Ooh.
Uh, yeah. You follow the or whatever this other thing, this person thing is saying, and begin to swim deeper underwater. You seem to be approaching the middle of the lake and diving down at the same time. Uh, as you approach, you're scared that you'll reach you'll reach the ocean floor. You're worried about that beast that you saw before. Seemingly able to sense your emotions, the other person, the person seems to speak again, saying it's okay that those things only live near the ocean floor, near the shores. They won't come into this deep part of the lake. As you continue to dive down deeper, you as you continue to dive down deeper, eventually you reach the ocean floor. Uh, you on the ocean floor, you seem to just kind of stop in the middle of nowhere. Eventually you approach this kind of hole, and the person turns to face you, and stomps on the floor in a pattern, and suddenly it just opens up before you, just a big ass hole in the ocean in the lake floor. He
Ooh.
motions you to he begins swimming down, assuming you knew what was going to happen, and then but you're still kind of shocked about it. Regardless, you continue to swim into the hole, following him close behind, and eventually appear to enter a fucking entirely new world. It's a massive cavern, but it's so massive that if you were at that once you reach the bottom and you look back up, it basically looks like you're staring into the sky. You reach
Oh.
the cavern has houses. The cavern has houses both on the bottom and kind of floating in the water. It really is a masterful architecture. However, the houses themselves aren't exactly built that well. There's a bigger house in the middle. You notice a bigger house at the end of the cavern, clearly looking like whoever lives there is important. The tiefling gestures you to the bottom, and you fall to the bottom. Eventually, he then speaks to you. He's like, well, speaks to you. Make sure not to go out at night anymore. You don't want the humans, or God forbid, the Inquisitors catching you. Well, I'll see you around. And before you can attempt to say anything, he swims away. You're now just you
Hmm.
find yourself standing in the middle of town. Clearly, everyone else here is asleep, and you're kind of just left wondering, what?
Hmm. So there's one bigger house at the very end of this giant cavern.
Uh huh.
Is there any like sort of water surface, or is this entire cave flooded?
Entire cave is flooded.
Hmm. Maroth's gonna slowly swim down to uh sort of hmm. How far does this cavern extend past the houses?
Not much further. It's clear that the cavern was dug for the sake of the houses,
Hmm.
if it was even dug.
Mm. uh, Math is gonna kind of try to find a part of the cavern, not near the houses, more upward in the caverns, and try to find some a pocket in the stone big enough for a small person.
You swim up towards the walls of the cavern, kind of scanning it for an outcropping. You find a little edge that you can kind of nestle your way into, and you kind of just lay down there. It's uncomfortable, but That's the only thing you really have for now.
Yeah, she clutches the leather
Don't know
bag
why you're
in
so
her
attached to
hands.
it, but I digress.
It's a leather bag. It's a leather bag, man. You need a bag to carry your.
You care to explain to what?
Elvis,
Oh,
you sound like you're underwater. Elvis, you sound like you're underwater.
Help! I am under the water.
Need to too much burning. Ooh.
Dude, Elvis must have been casted in like that spell where you imagine that you're just what's the one that where you imagine you're like deep underwater.
Yeah. Maroth kind of fucked him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a leather bag. You need a leather bag to hold your things.
The PS4 is not even plugged in.
Are you using PlayStation chat, or are you using your PlayStation attached to Discord?
Calm down.
That'd be really sad.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Now he sounds like one of those 2005 talking pet toys with the recorded audio in them.
Holy shit, so true.
Anyway, let's continue.
Yeah.
Who forced it?
That works. Good point. Good idea. Okay. Yeah, you nestle into this corner, and do you sleep, or do you just kind of lay there?
Ruth kind of lays there, a little bit frightened. She's not quite sure why she followed the adults, but now she's here and she's not sure what to do about it.
Mm-hmm. You lay there contemplating your new Smurf existence. And you kind of slowly just eventually drift off to sleep. The exhaustion of the whole thing, not really only now catching up to you, since you were kind of worried, you kind of busy doing everything else until now. You're woken up by another one of these tieflings, and they say, and your eyes open, and it's another adult, different to the one you met earlier. He kind of just stares at you and says, "What are you doing here?" And once again, you attempt to respond, but still can't speak. He stares at you, waiting for a response, but none comes, and you kind of start looking panicked, and he's like, "Do you speak or not?" And like you try to like use your hand signs to like point at your mouth and show that you can't. You can use to kind of just stare at you, like, can you not use telepathy or something? And you just immediately start shaking your head very rapidly, like, yes, and he just stares at you like, and he says, "Strange. We all know how to use telepathy. It's just kind of built into us. Have you tried?" And you just kind of stare at him blankly, and he's like, "Well, all tiefling races can communicate telepathically via our minds. Just think about your intention and imagine that relaying that to someone else's mind." In response, you kind of just start thinking deeply, like just thinking really hard about the message you want to convey and projecting it outward to this person in front of you. After a few minutes of trying, you eventually manage to send out a message to this person. What do you say?
Let me think about that for a second. Let me think about what I'm gonna say. Who are you? Or I guess, what is your name?
You say, "Who are you?" Through telepathy. It manages to work. He says, he looks at you and says, "Who, me? I don't really think it's of importance. I was just kind of curious as to why you're here. Regardless, seeing that you can use telepathy now, you best get on your way. We're gonna go out, the tribe's gonna go out hunting soon. Figure out what you want to do or get lost." And he kind of just swims away. Now, kind of like getting up, with your bag still in your hand. You look around and see that the village, well, I guess tribe, has become a lot more active. There are people moving about around the houses, people swimming across the cavern, and a party gathering, likely to do that hunting thing mentioned earlier. You can either attempt to communicate with the people below, maybe go to that large house, maybe join the hunting party or something else.
In the hunting party, what is the general age range of people who are hunting?
Male and older.
Right. Maroth is gonna look down at them, look at the exit. Is the exit at all open?
Yes, currently open. It only closes at
I'm
night.
just gonna. Maroth is just gonna beeline towards the exit. Not really intent on joining anyone right now because she wants to get out of here now. She
Yeah.
doesn't know why she came down here in the first place.
You can't.
It was a dumb idea.
You swam up to the you swam up, begin swimming up to the tunnel, and attempt to escape. But suddenly another voice calls out to you. Hey, where are you going? For some reason, you feel like you should respond. You don't know why. You turn down a very old-looking, but not decrepit, just kind of like older, almost like stern-looking tiefling begins swimming up to you. And he asks again, where are you going?
Maroth points to the exit.
He says, no. No one leaves unless they're going on the hunting party. Too dangerous. You should go back down and get back to doing whatever you go back. You should return to the village and, I don't know, do some chores or something. For some reason, even though the exit is right there, you feel really compelled to do what this much older and clearly powerful tiefling just kind of is telling you to do. And although you don't completely comply, you still, for some reason, can't convince yourself to leave anymore. You just kind of like nod slowly and swim back down.
Yeah, she hates this because before this she was a college student, she was an adult, she could do whatever the hell she wants, and now she doesn't feel like she can. Is this an analogy? Is this an analogy? Is this an analogy? Or are we going to talk about our traumas here, Connor? Sure.
Maybe.
I think you can unmute Elvis, by the way, he's back.
You can.
Oh my.
Hi.
Yeah, I am really sorry. I thought I was muted.
Yeah, can you mute now, please? Thank you.
Yeah, so you feel compelled. You begin to head down towards the village for some reason. As you reach the bottom, you kind of see all the tieflings moving about, both really young, old, men, women, and children, kind of moving about, doing their own thing. You're roughly in the middle of town, you'd think, since the exit is basically directly in the center of the cavern, on the ceiling. You're not sure what to do next.
Maroth is gonna kind of wander around, but every once in a while, look up at the cavern, see how many people are near it.
Okay. Maroth, you begin to just kind of wander around the village. You blend in well with the rest of the tieflings. None of them really seem to question you. You're not completely a youngling, so they don't assume you need supervision. You kind of walk around, constantly keeping an eye on the hunting party. The older gentleman who told you to return to the surface seems to be ordering them around, telling them to do things. And you watch as maybe half an hour passes by, and eventually they begin to swim through the hole to get to the hunting party. Get hunting. Now, around this time...
Is the guy going with them?
Yes.
Good. Good.
I'm wondering how much of Maroth's personality, the thing she does, is just your intrusive thoughts.
I think she'd be the type to have these sort of thoughts, so I'm just kind of leveraging off of that. And
I
it
feel
feels
like,
way more in character and fun.
yeah, I feel like Maroth is just Burb's intrusive thoughts. Burb is just secretly, whenever she looks at someone, she's like, I wish I could eat that person.
Anyway, so the guy has left with the hunting party, right?
Yes.
So Maroth's gonna wait maybe 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
before going back up to the exit. Is anyone stopping her?
Maroth, you once again swim to the exit, and just before you exit, you hear another voice calling out to you. This
Kind of like
this time,
does that like tense shoulder, this tense shoulder, rolling her eyes, looking back towards the voice.
Yeah, it's another older tiefling, not as old as the other guy, but they appear to be like someone who monitors stuff. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing? You're not supposed to leave unless you're with the hunting party. It's dangerous to go out alone, you know." You kind of just stare at him. Continue.
Maroth kind of thinks, and she's like, "Well, I don't think I'm supposed to be here either. It doesn't quite come across as that, but that was the intention."
He stares at you like, you live here though, right?
Maroth shakes her head like, "Nope. One of the adults thought I did. I don't know why I followed him."
The adult kind of stares
dumb,
at you weirdly,
but...
like, but you're one of us. If you don't live here, where would you live?
Not here. No siree.
He kind of just stares at you, like, what do you mean? You live here. This is your people. This is your home. We all live here. He's like, I mean, like, if what you're telling me, yep, it sounds like you just got caught wandering out late at night and are angry that you're being forced to not do that.
Shakes her head.
He just kind of stares like, don't shake your head at me. He's like, I feel like I know exactly what's going on here. You just want to sneak out, don't you?
such a conversation. I can't. I need a second. It's like it's ridiculous. It's silly.
A little bit silly.
Yeah, it's a little bit silly. So, Maroth kind of grips her hands like, and she's like, "No, you're not getting me. I'm not from here."
He's like, what do you mean not from here? Our people have lived here since we were created. We've always lived here. Going out would be a death sentence. We're creatures of the water, and people don't exactly like our existence. If not here, where else would you live?
Maroth kind of points at herself with her thumb, and she's like, "Well, I haven't lived here, so."
He's like, what do you mean? Where were you born?
Not here. Have you ever seen me around town? Does my face look familiar to you?
He's like, there are hundreds of us. Of course you don't.
Hundreds? Oh, okay. Oh, damn. They grew bigger than I would have thought. That's cool.
Yeah. He's like, there are hundreds of us. Not necessarily, but at the same time, you're telling me you weren't born in the village. The only village where our species exists, the only lake where our species exists. you sure you're not someone? Are you sure you're not a Leviathan trying to pretend to be a tiefling?
Kinda looks dumbfounded as to what the hell he's talking about now. Kinda like, that's a thing?
He kind of stares at you like, well, clearly you're too stupid to be that, so I guess not.
Maroth looks a little offended, and then, she turns, kind of with a flick of her head, and continues.
Continue to swim up to the surface as the man calls out to you again to stop. Although you feel the same compulsion you felt with the older man, it's not as powerful. And through a bit of self-confidence and will, you continue to leave and go through. The man doesn't really try to stop you.
I...
You eventually exit the cavern and appear in the lake again. You're now at the ocean floor. What do you do?
Get the fuck away from there. As interesting as it was, she doesn't want to be pulled back there again by another adult.
Fair enough. You quickly swim towards the shore and the surface, hoping to not run into the hunting party wherever it may be. Eventually, you don't run into them, and eventually you reach the surface and kind of just sit on the shore for a bit, kind of like, what the hell just happened?
Hmm.
You're not really sure what to do next.
So, Maroth is going to go back over to that upper island, because now she's like, are the people still there? And what happened because of me being seen and you know, them chasing me off? Now she's curious about that.
You begin to stay near the surface and swim towards the upper island. You also look up and see that the sun is just before noon, and it's about to approach noon. You eventually reach the island and step on it and head towards the camp again. The fire isn't lit, so you assume whoever was there definitely left. As you approach the island, you clearly obviously signs of the party is there, but all the goods, the tents, the people, and the supplies are all gone. Whoever was here, they clearly left.
Maroth puts her hands on her hips and kind of sighs, and kind of realizes right now she's above water, so she tries to speak, and it comes out a little bit raspy and not her voice at all. And she's not even sure what she just tried to say in the first place.
You try to speak words in a raspy voice without the one you're normally used to. And even though you tried to say, like, some testing words, whatever you said was not those words. You try again a bit more to talk, and you think you can probably formulate maybe the most basic of words, but sentences are beyond your capability currently, and so are anything intelligible.
Maroth is gonna sigh, putting a hand on her head, and walking back to the shore.
You begin.
Are there any?
Continue.
Are there any other signs of other people ever having been here? Does this seem to be a popular place to go to?
You explore the island a bit to check, and besides the campsite, you do notice that there are some paths that have been cleared out on the island. The paths point towards the thinner part of the paths point the left and right side of of the lake, and you assume that like the path you found that family on, you assume that they likely would point towards another path that would lead to maybe a town or whatever. You assume.
Maroth is going.
Continue. Yeah.
Maroth kind of wants to follow that path, and
You can either go left or right. You're facing towards the ocean.
the path less chosen. Left.
Okay, good. The right would have been awkward.
Oh.
I'm not gonna explain
Maybe
why.
I'll go there later.
No,
Maybe I'll go there later.
I'll explain why in a bit. Actually, I won't explain why. But actually, it won't matter if you wait a few days and then go right, nothing will happen. If you went right now, it would have been fine. No, never mind. You go left.
Maybe I'll go there later if I come back
Later you come
during
back.
the stay.
But how do you know you'll come back during the stay?
I don't know. Maybe I might.
Anyways, you go left. You go left and follow the path of the island, eventually reaching the shore on the side of the island. You look across the ocean and you see another path leading around a hill. You can swim across the ocean and follow the path. But other than that, the path looks laid out enough. Whatever it is, it clearly is used a lot. It's not like overgrown or anything. So it tells you at the very least that from this direction, at least, a lot of people visit here.
Yeah, I think Maroth is gonna swim across to the other side of this lake from here.
You swim across the lake towards the path and surface. There's kind of like a bit of wooden signs here, and you read some. You look at some of them. They're kind of just like they say standard stuff: fishing spot, like that, yada yada yada. You scan the words a bit and notice one line: Inshian Lake. You assume that that's the name people have given this lake, and kind of jot it down in your mind for later. You continue to head across the follow the path slowly. You're not nearly as fast on the water as you are on the ground, but you make do. You kind of you can either follow the path or kind of explore this area for a bit.
What is around the area? I assume this was just a beach.
Yeah, it's a beach, and then deeper in some woods and some mountains. If you're facing inland, there's like mountains to your northeast, mountains to your northwest. The path continues forward a bit, but kind of starts to bend left, and there's some woods to your left and right of you, and the beach behind you.
I'm gonna go towards some of the woods, but sort of stay. Actually, yeah. Let's go a little further into some of the. By the way, what map are you using?
Geographic one.
Okay, the geographic one.
Well, you can't use the maps only, because you don't technically know where you are.
Right. I like getting a sense for like where I am, even though my character might not.
Yeah.
Is that fine?
Well, because the thing is, if you do that, then it kind of influences your choice.
Okay. Okay, so shore, going away from the shore into some of the woods, not on the path, right? Okay.
So you kind of just diverge from the path and start looking around the woods. You look into the trees and notice some animals. There are these squirrel-looking things with extra legs and claws that seem to be jumping between the trees. There are also some fruits, some plants. But other than that, it's a peaceful sight, but other than that, you don't really see anything of note.
I'm gonna continue going, but go more in the direction, back in the direction of where the path would be.
Okay. You start taking kind of an off trail, still following the path, but more in the forest than on the path. As you walk across, as you follow the path, there are you notice, some animals. One in particular catches your eye that's kind of rolled up that seems to have a hard shell and rolls up into a ball, kind of rolling across the plains, eating plants. It stays a distance away from you, but it's kind of interesting to just kind of notice it. You notice a few other animals as well as you kind of go across. Yeah, you notice a few other animals as you go across, but nothing of note. So you found some sheep as well as you continue to walk, but they're in a small pack. They have larger coats than what you're used to from normal sheep. You continue along the path as the sun starts to climb over. Sun is already climbing over the zenith, and it's maybe starting to lead into the afternoon. You continue walking, eventually, slowly starting. Not really sure where you're going, but the path has more direction than the cavern you were in.
Oh wait, let me write down okay.
Okay. You can
So
see.
say that again.
Yeah, you were just walking down the path. You're walking down the path when eventually you hear the sounds of what sounds like horses running down the path towards you. You can't see them yet, but you can tell there's a lot of them and they're approaching quickly. You can either choose to hide or to wait and see who's coming.
Maroth is gonna run completely like perpendicular to the path to hide. Is there anything good to hide behind other than trees?
No, it's just trees.
She's gonna find the biggest tree she can and try to hide behind it.
You run quickly to a tree and hide behind it, barely peeking your head out to see. You see You see six horses. You see six horses running across the field, each one of them having light armor just covering the top. They're mostly just the upper part of their body. They look very unique to you. They have purple and black hide. Unlike the horses, the brown and white and gray horses you're used to. They have 3 pairs of legs and are elaborately lined with a gold mane. They seem very luxurious, and what's interesting enough is they have no eyes. However, they seem to be able to see perfectly fine. This is by far the most, besides your own species, this is by far the most fantastical thing you've seen since arriving in this world. That actually looks very, very fantasy. You watch as you look at the people on top, and what you see is you look at the people on top, and they all appear to be clergymen. They have long white robes with gold lined in them. You don't notice any traditional Christian signs like crosses or something. However, they clearly have religious symbols of some kind lining their coats. They have the stereotypical clergy hat you see on you were used to in very many Catholic priests. But however, these ones have swords and staffs on the back and equipped on their sides. You watch as they're discussing something that you can't really hear because you're too far away and are more focused on hiding, and begin running and run right past you towards the direction of the lake. You can either continue down the path and just ignore them, or try to follow them, or something else.
Follow them and see where they are going, or she knows where they're going, what they are doing.
Okay.
But she's gonna stay completely behind, never to the side, and just keep going in between, hiding between trees and slowly following. How fast are the horses going?
How fast?
Is this a trot or gallop?
Gallop.
A gallop. Okay, then she might not focus as much on hiding, and just follow.
Yeah. Okay. You decide to follow these priestly-looking people. Eventually, you know that they go. You notice that they continuing down the temple. You follow them all the way to the lake, and continue to observe them. They seem to stop at the lake, kind of discussing amongst themselves. Right now, you're not close enough to hear them. You're still kind of peeking around behind a new tree. They're staring at the lake, and one of them uses some sort of, you think maybe a spell, but you're not sure, and their horses begin to continue running across the water.
Maroth thinks that their arrival might have to do with what she did yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Maroth is gonna follow, going underwater and staying underwater so that she's better hidden, but now able to follow much more quickly.
Mm-hmm. Give me 1 second. Okay. You follow them across the water and see that they're heading the direction of the upper island. You follow them and their horses land on the island again, and begin to head into the island. Do you follow them or wait on the shore?
I'm gonna continue doing the intrusive thoughts are gonna win. I'm gonna follow them.
You follow the priests into the you follow the priests into the island and slowly approach them using the more wooded island to hide. You look around, eventually reaching them. You see that they're exploring the camp, kind of haphazardly, looking around roughly, quickly deducting that there is nothing there of note. They then spread out and head in the directions of the shores, likely to scan the whole island. You could have to quickly duck behind the tree so that the one heading in your direction doesn't see you.
Was there any difference in how any of them were dressed? Was there any sort of hierarchy?
No.
Okay. Then Maroth is going to follow the one that just has to buy her.
Okay. The one that runs by her rushes in the back of the path to trace back any steps, and you turn around and follow them. You head back, you follow them all the way up into the shore, and they clearly are beginning to scan the ground, but more importantly, scanning the shore. You kind of stare behind the trees, looking at them. They're clearly looking for something, and you can kind of guess, based on the fact that the moment the humans saw you, they screamed a demon, that why they're here.
Yeah.
You laugh to yourself because you're a little shit.
That was me. No.
You're a little shit, both in and out of lore, apparently. But yeah.
Though Maroth is smiling to herself. She's grinning. But here's the. Hold on.
Maroth is.
No, never mind. There is no. But here's the grinner meme. Never mind.
Oh God. But yeah.
She's a big grin on her face.
Mm-hmm. She watches as they continue to explore. You can either continue to watch or attempt to do something else.
Maroth is once this particular priest has gotten far enough away, she's gonna go back into the water and wait, cause
the priest begins to move.
I had another intrusive thought, and I just think
the priest moves starts walking to the right to continue to go down the shoreline, and once he's out of sight, you jump into the water and start hovering just below the surface again.
Yeah, she's gonna go over to where they had entered the island. She's gonna go there and wait.
Okay. You go back to the shore of the island, you said, or the lake.
The island.
So you're waiting where?
She's waiting under the water near where they entered the
Okay.
island.
You find the trail that they entered on and begin to wade under the water. What feels like maybe half an hour to an hour, eventually the priests return in a group and seemingly satisfied with their investigation, but also a bit disappointed. You start to be able to make out a bit of what they're hearing, of what they're saying. You hear one of the priests say, "It appears that this might have been a false alarm," and the other priest says, "I'm not sure. We've always gotten reports of demons in this lake. We've yet to ever find one." And then another priest responds, "True, but if we don't act, then the people will assume that we're weak and can't handle a demon." Another priest responds, "True. I'm just getting tired of these what feels like false alarms. Probably just a bunch of drunk teenagers mistaking an animal for a demon again." They all sigh, and one of them casts magic. One of them casts something, and they begin to walk across the water again.
Is it how fast is it?
They're now just trotting. They're not. They're just walking. The horses, I should say.
Maroth is going to swim behind them. Behind the horse and the God,
Bird.
I've never taken this much liberty with how much fun I can have being just terrible. Okay? Let me have this.
I think we know who Burb really wants to be. Burb IRL, if they could do whatever they want. Just an absolute piece of shit.
Maroth is gonna
like how Dred's listening to this, and he's like, "I literally tortured an animal for the pleasure of it, and even I'm not this much of an ass."
I'm playing as the Ottoman Empire right now, and I just like beat down a bunch of Armenians, and still I'm not as much of an ass.
So he's going to swim up behind one of the horse in the very, very back of this congregation. Swim up and yank on its tail.
You're a dick. You swim up behind the horse in the lowest back, grab its tail, and yank it. The horse instinctively...
and she's gonna then... See, she's gonna yank it, and then just, like, let go and dive back into the water.
The horse instinctively... You swim up behind the horse in the back and rip it and yank its tail. The horse instinctively yelps in surprise and then does the thing where it screams and lifts up its hind legs and starts standing up, right? High enough to where the priest falls off and into the water as you dive back in. The other priest look behind, startled, as what could have, and looking around to see what could have startled the horse. I don't see any.
You know, I didn't think one of the priests would fall in. But now. Anyway, she's gonna grab the priest by the shoulders and lunge straight for the neck. With those big, sharp teeth that she's discovered are only good for meat.
You appear behind the priest as he surfaces and grab on his shoulders and attempt to bite him. However, before you can achieve that, the other priest who was on the other horse, who is currently observing the scenario, casts a spell. Before you know what happens, a massive bolt of lightning strikes you straight in the face and launches you backwards. You underestimated the experience of these priests and how much they have fighting demons. Before you can even get an attack on, they launch a spell into your face and you go flying backwards into the water. More spells come charging at you, but you're able to dive and regain your balance, dive into the water, and avoid getting hit. You try to look back, but other priests are already helping their friend out and back onto their horse, and next thing you know, they are running away, not wanting to confront an ocean enemy whilst having to deal with their horses. You're a little shit.
Thank you. I try. I really try.
Is this the secret? This is just Burb, the Intrusive Thoughts edition.
How is this a secret? How is this new to you? Am I really that hard to read?
No.
Why are you surprised?
Because you're a bitch. That's why.
Yeah, Maroth swims away, terrified, but still a very, very cheeky look on her face.
You swim. You kind of swim like away. It's where you're kind of just like sitting in the middle of the island. Not the island, the lake. The priests have long gone, and you're kind of just left there to your own devices.
I think it's around this time that Maroth might feel a little bit more hungry.
Yeah.
And I think since she didn't get that priest, just gonna go back into the water and just begin hunting.
You dive back deep into the dive back into the water, not too deep, and begin swimming around looking for the fish that you experienced earlier. You find a few.
Experience. I love that word, experienced. It was an experience.
You find a few more of those packs of fish and keep catching a few and start eating them. When suddenly you hear a voice behind you, and you turn around, and it's the same guy who forced you to go back into the village. He's staring at you, and you're like, shit, is the first thought that comes to mind. And he looks at you and he says, I thought I told you not to go out wandering. Kids these days apparently can't even listen to their elders, huh? You're still eating a fish, by the way, while he's saying this.
She kind of squints and then she's like turning away and continuing her meal.
It's like, and he says, don't you ignore me. You need to return back to the village now, or there will be consequences.
Maroth kind of looks back at him, and now a better understanding of how the telepathy works. She's like, but I don't really live there.
And the guy kind of stares at you confused and says, well then, where do you live?
Not there.
He just stares even more confused, like that's not an answer.
I don't need to tell you where I live, but I can tell you where I don't.
He said, our people have never left this lake, barely even explored the shores. You are us, clearly. And so explain to me how you don't live there when every one of us is born there.
Well, I'm not a your people, and I've never lived here before.
He said,
I'm crossing the hands IRL. I'm crossing my arms IRL. Like, oh my god, this is so fun. I haven't been able to do verbal roleplay like this in so long, and I'm so happy.
And he kind of just like stares at you like, what? We're all you. What? Then what are you then if you're not to one of us?
Maroth kind of shrugs.
Shrugs. Lee's like, well, if you're not to one of us, then I suggest you leave this lake. This is our territory, and if you're gonna get involved with this area, I suggest you go find another body of water to inhabit.
Fine. Maybe I will.
Maybe I will. With that, you kind of like take your leave, happy that the guy isn't making you return to the village again. Swimming away from him, you start to approach the shore, and whilst also eating any fish you catch along the way. Once you return to shore, you've more or less had enough to eat, and the sun is starting to set.
Question: How good of a look do you think that priest got at Maroth?
Your face at best.
Okay.
Yeah, you kind of just like after getting your fill, the sun's starting to set, and you are now at the shore, and you're kind of just like doop-a-doop.
Maroth is going to. Let me think. I think she's going to try and find another little pocket in some of the rocks far off from the village to sleep in.
Underwater?
Yeah.
You swim towards kind of the shore, but also not too close to it, and you kind of approach the side of the lake, and looking for a little place in a groove to sleep in. You kind of find a spot. After a bit of searching, you manage to find a spot that looks well enough where you can kind of like nook yourself into, and you kind of like squeeze yourself into this little side of the lake, and kind of just like lay there as the sun begins to set, and you feel the lake kind of getting colder.
I'm assuming the water in the cavern was not very cold at all.
No.
Interesting.
You kind of just lay there.
Is it bearable?
Yeah, it's bearable.
Okay. I think with... Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you eventually just fall asleep, as you did before. Again, uncomfortable as hell, but oh well. You wake up later this time. I'd say roughly around, you wake up maybe around noon, because you were kind of a bit, exhausted. And, wake up and stretch, feel how uncomfortable your body is after sleeping on solid rock, and kind of just hover there thinking about what to do next.
I think, though, with that, we could... How long has it been? How long has this session been?
Like an hour, 2 hours.
Okay. I think that is long enough for me for a first session, because there's not much else. I don't think there's another direction I can go with this that won't be monotonous, so it'll give me a chance to think of what Maroth's next move should be, and to, yeah.
Fair enough.
That was very enjoyable.
Yes. Now it's just time to wait for the update. I'm gonna end this recording.
Yeah.